What up, y'all?
Welcome
to the J&O Show,
where we talk about
exactly what is emotional intelligence. Do today's men really lack the ability to provide for the modern woman, or are there deeper issues at play here? Stay to the end, where Poor Man's Podcast breaks down the issues in the modern dating scene and a lot of the problems that men are facing.
Roll clip.
This is a crisis because these women are saying, okay, if you cannot be the provider, then you need to be offering more. Emotional intelligence is the new currency in dating. But these guys were raised not to be emotionally intelligent, not to give emotional support, but to be a provider. And so they've been chasing this lion. I'm going to hunt for this lion of being a provider. But suddenly they're told you need to hunt for a tiger, which is emotional intelligence. They don't have the skills to do.
It's because emotional intelligence is basically translated to think like a woman, or you have toxic masculinity.
I would like to understand, because I keep on hearing people say, I need you to be emotionally intelligent. What exactly do you mean by that?
Do you have any idea what you're talking about?
Is what I want to know.
See, when we in lock, I Googled it. Check it out. Emotional intelligence, EI. Also known as emotional quotient, EQ, is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. It involves recognizing and managing your own emotions, as well as understanding and responding to emotions of others, aka how to be a woman.
Well, not all of that.
No, not all of it. Men are really good about managing their own emotions. Not always in positive ways, but a good chunk of them can do it in positive ways to relieve stress. You know what we do to relieve stress?
Oh boy.
The walls.
And work out.
The walls. Because even when you work out, you be urging, bro. You don't be urging to hit the gym unless you like Simeon Panda. Bro, you ain't urging to hit the gym unless your name is Ronnie Coleman. You ain't urging to hit the gym. You urging for something else. But we're just going to keep on moving.
Right.
Communicate effectively. Men do need to, some men. Wait a minute. You know what I figured out? Everybody needs to get better at communicating effectively because I've been around so many women who can't communicate effectively that it's almost a crime. They can tell you about their emotions, but not in a constructive way where they can actually offer and find solutions as opposed to just giving you all of their stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's sort of both. Empathize with others. You can't empathize if you don't have a worldview that puts you in a position to empathize with others.
Really? Well, that's interesting.
It don't matter if you're a man or a woman.
Okay.
If you have a particular worldview, you don't empathize with others. I think a lot of modern women do not have the ability to empathize with others. That's why they're money first and everything else second. That's called being selfish, by the way.
Okay.
Overcome challenges. I think men and women have overcome challenges very well in many, many years. Both of them, to be honest. I don't think that's a one thing or other. Diffuse conflict. I'm going to be honest with you. That is counter to testosterone, boy. We just don't start conflict.
Yeah.
It's either it's going to be conflict or we ain't going to start no conflict. Diffusing, once there's already conflict, that's a whole nother thing. We don't got to diffuse nothing. No, because if I know you're going to punch me in the face, I'm not going to start with you in the first place.
Now we have to fight.
That's our diffusion of conflict. So therefore, I am not going to start with that guy because that Negro crazy.
You think you're crazy? I'll show you crazy.
That's how we do it. Or how we don't start with a lot of women. We just don't start it. Technically, that means that men already have a certain level of emotional intelligence because we don't start with y'all jokers. Even though y'all don't have any problem starting with us. I sound red pill as hell, but I'm not. I applied for my card. They denied me. So, I mean, look, I have a wife. I love her. Denied. It's just the way that it goes. I will say that the ability to understand, use your emotions is a problem. Managing, I don't think men necessarily have huge issues in general. We just manage it differently than women.
Yeah.
We avoid certain situations.
And I think that's the issue. I think every time when I hear women say, I just need a man who be emotionally intelligent, I think that's what it is. They're expecting for men to handle situations the same way they would.
Yes. It doesn't look the same.
It doesn't look the same.
We're not supposed to.
I was going to say, we're not the same.
We're not built to handle situations like y'all do.
Yeah. Like we need to learn to embrace our differences. Like we have differences for a reason. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And it works.
It does.
It works when everybody just is in their own lane. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that you're not.
Say that part again.
When everybody's in their own lane.
Yes.
Women, we need to just be in our lane, be women. Men need to be in their lane and be men.
It's not that difficult.
And be women don't mean that you can't have a business and stuff like that.
Yeah, no.
The Proverbs 33 woman, she had a business. Yep. She was buying land.
Yeah, it's just the whole...
And most people aren't even regular intelligence, so to expect most people to be emotionally intelligent, some arbitrary word that was just made up. But
we don't say it enough, but common sense
ain't so common. Nope.
So
and he was right. He was right.
And you know what, y'all? Social media is not really helping.
It's not. Nope.
I'm sorry.
YouTube
is a great platform because it does have, it's a library. It's YouTube University.
Right.
You come here to learn, hopefully. A lot of times to learn, there's entertainment and all that kind of stuff or whatever. But there's a lot of stuff that just rots your brain that's on social media, like especially when you're just constantly like just scrolling through and your attention span is not that long. You remember back in the day when we sat down and we actually used to watch a TV show?
Remember the good old days?
Like, a 30, like a sitcom, like a 30-minute, maybe 20 minutes after commercials or what have you, or an hour show, but really 45 minutes because you got about 15 minutes of commercials scattered through there or whatever. Yeah. We actually could sit down and watch a whole thing. Nowadays, people, it's like within the first 2 minutes, they're done. They're scrolling to the next thing. Oh, I got to watch something else, jump back and forth. Pay attention. Bruh. Watch.
You gotta watch.
Yeah, watch your people. Watch the kids, how they interact and how they actually entertain themselves.
that was never a thing. But either way, regardless, it's just a bunch of feminist nonsense. It's just a way for women to say in code, you need to behave and think like a woman and express your emotions like a woman, or you're less emotionally intelligent. As if women have more control over their emotions than men. Just because you express your emotions doesn't mean you have more control over your emotions. Honestly, I think it's quite the opposite. I think people who are more stoic and can channel their emotions to get the task done. For example, the same anger that allows me to go into to go fight some dude at a bar is the same anger that, if it's channeled well enough, allows me to fight a guy that tries to walk into my house. So it's not about not feeling the emotions for men. It's about being able to regulate when to use the emotions and when to express those emotions. I think when you just outwardly express your emotions, especially as a man, you end up in very dangerous territory. Men who express their emotions oftentimes lean more to anger, because men lean to anger when it comes to our emotions and frustration. So I think expressing those emotions for men can be the opposite result of what women think they want when they tell men to just express their emotions or be emotionally intelligent. It's usually just
I will say this. Men have a different chemical makeup than women. A lot of people know this, but ignore it when it comes to dating and things of that nature. The reality is men tend to lean more towards aggression. Aggression is a response that is directly triggered by testosterone as well as other factors. Us having on average 17 times more testosterone than women not only affects our sex drive, and it does because it makes it more consistent, because that is our main identifier for our sexual drive, and it's consistent, as opposed to women's however many different types of estrogen and the amount of testosterone that they have in their bodies. But it also feeds into aggression. Us having 17 times more of the aggression hormone in our body probably means that we're going to be more aggressive than women are in general. Yep. We speak differently to each other and to women. And the reality is, learning how to control and to aim that is probably just as important as expressing my emotions. No. I refuse. No. The reality is, we tend to lean more towards anger than sadness. An event will make us angry more than it will make us sad. We want somebody to be pissed off at. Thinking that we're going to act more like women is what's getting y'all jokers caught up. And it's weird because y'all will go, hey, why don't y'all act more like this, which is actually more like a woman. And then when a guy does that, you be like, where the real men at? It ain't no real men out here. All of these men is soft. Why are you so sassy? Because he's listening to you. He thinks you actually want somebody who's sassy, which is feminine. I have a second part of this clip. We pulled a lot from this video because it was actually really good. I hope this is going to give me what I was looking for.
I'm about to crush this narrative right now with this whole provider thing and guys need to step up providing, blah, blah, blah. If you want a provider, a man can provide you a life. But it comes down to the type of life that you want to live as a woman. What it used to be was, if I want a provider as a man, my responsibility, if he's going to provide, is to make sure I live within his means. So what you had was, you had families that made hand-me-downs. The women would stitch, sew, patch clothes up because they couldn't afford to go and get new clothes all the time. That's what families used to do because they wanted a provider, and the women respected it to the point where they understood that their living conditions is going to be to what this man can provide. That's what a provider does. And your responsibility as somebody who is provided for is to be grateful and try to make whatever they have do, basically. So when you look at like traveling, my grandparents, they've been married for 60 years. They weren't traveling the world, going on vacations because they were living off of an income. My grandfather was a provider. When you look at families back, there was one car in the household. A lot of the women didn't even drive because they could only afford one car, and if there was somebody driving, it was oftentimes the man. So when you look at like when women are talking about a provider, the responsibility of wanting a provider and being a woman who is provided for is understanding that you have to live with what this man can make. That's oftentimes not what women want. They want to be able to live a life of luxury. So that requires two people in the workforce. And then you get all of these off balances where the woman's making more than the man. And like he said, 2/3 of the time when the woman makes more than the man, they start wanting divorce. The man, all these issues come from that idea of equality and wanting to make just as much as the man, but not being capable of taking on the same responsibilities that a man is willing to take on when he makes more. All of a sudden, when the women are making more than the men, they're dating down. Why throughout all of human history have men never said that we're dating down because we're dating a woman that makes less than us?
That's something I often say. Women don't want just providers. They want providers of luxury, providers of Instagram lifestyle. They're not satisfied with somebody who just provides. If you move to a certain place, you can get a house, you can get a car off of his salary. But because you want to make sure you have two cars and you want to make sure that your house has 3,500 square feet instead of 2,000 square feet, that is going to make a difference in the type of guy that you want. And because a small percentage of guys and women only make a certain amount of money, don't get it twisted. Men still across the board, across the country, still make more on average than women. There are women, of course, who make more than most men, but there are more men who make more than most women. In most households, the husband still tends to be the main provider in most households that have two incomes. Yes, it's starting to skew. And there may come a time where it does change, where the women take over. Maybe. I don't know. To be honest, the way things are going and the way that people are butting heads, I think that if men get to a point where they start to compete with women as if they are men because they're so frustrated by a lot of the things that women are saying and how disrespectful some of them have been, I don't think a lot of women want to see the world where men are competing with them as if they are other men.
Well, that's not going to be pretty.
Because right now, y'all skating by because there's a lot of guys on y'all side like,
nah, man, women have done, my mama, she was the greatest to me and stuff. My daddy wasn't in there.
You got all of these dudes that are moving like that who are really padding it for y'all. I think if men in general started to be like, well, I mean, if y'all gonna be my enemy anyway, so we might as well just go toe to toe.
That would be bad.
And see how that work out. I don't think they really want that
smoke.
That type of aggression, they compete with y'all the way that they would compete with other men for that stuff. I don't think they really want that smoke, bro.
Trust me, you don't want that smoke.
Especially if it's coupled with a lot of the discontent that a lot of men are having now because of the dating market and the way that a lot of women are talking about them. If they start to get this disdain that a lot of these misandrous women have towards men, and if men really become misogynistic, I don't think y'all want to see what that look like.
I think that's a bad idea.
Because right now, it's like this many dudes that are misogynistic. For real, for real. Y'all really want to see it when it's this many dudes? Y'all keep on pushing them. You keep on poking the bear, bro. He gonna bite your head off.
Bad idea.
I'm just saying. And this, of course, is not for women who are already just sort of like
I ain't got no issues with no men. I like the house they built me. I like the car they built me. I like the roads they pave. I like the sewer system that they keep running. I ain't got no issues.
I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about the strong, powerful, modern woman who thinks that all men are trash. Even if you're a strong, powerful woman, but you like, no, I understand when men gotta roll, women gotta roll, and I'm about to go out here and get this money. Like what it is. I don't have no problem with you either, sis. But the women out there that's like, men is trash. We don't need men. The Joy Behars from The View and stuff. Like they be saying that wild stuff while you sitting there driving in the car that men built for you, in a house or apartment that men built for you, in the studio that men built for you, using the camera that men built for you.
What is wrong with you people?
Using the police to protect you that are probably mostly men.
You don't make sense.
Like you look crazy.
See, something is wrong with you.
But it's all good. I personally think men need to let women who are like that literally just get like a city to themselves. Like give them a whole city where they can just be there with all of their women and have no men there.
That sounds good to me.
And when the sewer system stop working and the electricity goes off and they need somebody to come get them because their car broke down and there's nobody there. Actually, because there's some women out there know how to change tires, and I met some dudes who don't. Bruh, you gotta know the basics, dude. Like, seriously.
Comment down below and let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you guys made it this far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, because for some reason, y'all ain't getting notified.
You gotta go into your settings.
Yes.
You gotta go into your settings and make sure your notifications for all channels are turned on.
Yes.
As well as the notification button on the channel of the person whose video that you're watching.
Yes.
Because if you don't, you're not gonna get notifications. And trust me, our numbers verify. Everybody ain't getting notified. Because I know it's crazy right now.
You want to see us.
Yeah. I'm saying, right? At least she's cute. I mean, maybe I'll make you chuckle every once in a while. Know what I mean? Oh, anyway.
You're cute too, baby.
First on camera kiss. What? You would have missed that if you wasn't watching the video. All right, y'all. Please come back next time so y'all can check out what we're putting down later.
Hey, everybody. Down in the description, there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we can really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Press the off button.